Well, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm down at Sumners Pond in Horsham and I thought I'd do a little bit of feeder fishing. There's quite a few carp in here. It is way into December now, so it's not the warmest, so I don't know quite how active they're going to be. On the other side of the lake there is a match going on, so I've been kind of shoved over this way, but I think there's still going to be a chance of a few fish today. I've got a little feeder set up just behind me, and I've got a couple of pints of maggots. I've got a few other bits and pieces if I need to chop and change as well. If I'm getting plagued with small stuff, then I'll move over to more of a ground bait feeder and maybe use a little bit of fake corn, something like that. But we'll see how it goes. I'll get settled into my swim and then I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what's working and what's not working. Well, this didn't take long at all. Oh! Oh, well, the rod had been out 5 minutes. I literally just put it down my left hand margin and bent right round, had a carp on, and it's done me. It's actually snapped my hook link. So I'm going to have to up what I'm using a little bit, put some stronger hook link on, because I can't be having that every time. Back to the drawing board. Well, I changed my hook link over. I've now got a braided hook link on because I'm not risking snapping up anymore. The original one was a £5 fluorocarbon hook link, which possibly was a little bit weak for some of the carp that are in this lake. So I've now got a £15 braided hook link, and I've got a fairly strong main line as well. It didn't take long to get another bite, and I talk through tactics how I've got this a little bit later, but it's very, very simple, just using maggots and then topping up the margin with a few different bits and pieces of bait. So we'll go through all of that, but hopefully I can get him in. I say that, he's getting further and further away from me at the moment. So he's definitely putting up a bit of a battle, and it's quite nice fishing with lighter rods. This is a 80-gram feeder rod. If I'm completely honest, that doesn't mean a lot to me because I'm used to carp rods with kind of £3, £3.5 test curves, so I don't really know what 80 grams translates to. But it definitely makes it good fun playing fish of this sort of size. I thought he was nearly ready to be netted. There he is. It's probably only about 8 to 10 pounds, something like that. But it's good fun on a little feeder rod. I think I need a bigger net. Result. Well, I did bring a slightly bigger net with me as well, so I've moved them into this, and I think this is a net that I'll be using for the remainder of the day. That's not a bad way to start, is it? So obviously I lost that one first thing, which was a bit annoying, but my own fault for using a hook link that was a little bit too light. So since changing over, making up a little rig with the £15 braid, I've had this second bite, and it's a very, very cold fish at the moment, moving very slowly, but he's still not wanting to be picked up. Come on. Oh, there we go. He's not overly happy about being out, so I'm going to get him back quickly. He's probably only about £8, but it's really good fun on that feeder rod, so slip him back, try and have a few more, keep the little bush I'm fishing to primed with a bit of bait, and hopefully we'll have a successful day. Someone's a bit greedy. So I've actually been down to Sumners Pond quite a few times before, and it's a really cool little venue. It's not too far from me, and it offers loads of different types of fishing. At the moment I'm on the Match Lake, which is obviously the more of a runs water than anything, and there's a good amount of carp in here, but there's silvers, there's tench, I think there's even barbel in here, so there's a bit of everything. And it's obviously called the Match Lake because there's a lot of matches held on here. Like I said, there is today on the other side of the lake. There must be, I don't know, about 10 or 12 different people all taking part in a match, so I guess part of the lake gets rented, sometimes the whole lake's shut, so it's worth emailing Sumners just to make sure that they are open, or the match lake's open if it is this one you want to fish. But it's nice and cheap as well. I think it's £12 for a day ticket. That's for one rod. I think it might be 15 for 2 rods. So it's kind of normal day ticket prices, but like I say, there's other lakes on the complex as well, and it's actually a campsite. So over summer, myself and Amy, my partner, came down here and we fished, I think it's called Sumners Lake, which is the main lake here, which you can only fish if you by a lakeside pitch, so we brought our converted van down here. We parked up for a couple of nights and fished during the days and had some really good fish. I think I had about 10 fish, pretty much all off the surface, so it was really good fun. And the biggest was about 25 pounds. So yeah, there's all different types of fish in here. There's also more of a specimen lake as well called Betty's Lake, and I think that's got fish to 38 pound. And there's a couple of other kind of pleasure lakes as well. So it's a really nice venue. Everything's like well looked after, it's nicely laid out, and there's cafes on sites and things like that. So if you are ever in the Horsham area, or you're coming fishing or coming down this way, then definitely check out Sumners Pond. Like I said, I've been here quite a few times and it's always been pretty good. I've always caught something, and yeah, it's just a nice place to come for a session. There you go, fish number 2. It got a little bit quiet down to the bush to my left hand side, so there's an island just in front of me, which is probably only about 20 yards, something like that. So I thought I'd chance it over there, put the maggot feeder over there. First one, a couple little knocks, but nothing much, and then put it out there again with fresh feeder for the maggots, and it didn't take long for this one to go. It was a weird bite, it kind of dropped back towards me. I wasn't sure if there was anything there or not, so I reeled into it and then felt a little bit of resistance, and resulted in the second little carp of the day. So I'll slip him back and then I'll show you kind of how I'm going about it, the rig that I'm using, which is super simple, and yeah, show you what's working. Okay, so like I said, I'm using super simple methods, and I'm literally using a little maggot feeder and then a really basic rig. But I'm using the maggot feeder on a lead clip for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it makes it nice and easy to change the feeder, so if I wanted to whip that off and then put on a method feeder of some sort, then I can do that. But also it allows me to have the maggot feeder kind of free running, so obviously when I cast out I can tighten up against it, so the swivel is going to pull in very slightly, and then that means that obviously you get that bend in the end of your feeder tip, so you can tighten up against it, so you're still getting good indication on bites. But what it does also mean is there's less resistance, so if a fish actually picks up the hook bait, takes the rig, then there's less resistance because it's just against the tip of the rod, rather than having the swivel pulled into it, and then you've got the resistance of the weight of the feeder and the tip of the rod. So that's my reason for doing that, and hopefully it will lead to a few more bites today. But then moving on to the rig itself, like I said, I started off with a 5 pound fluorocarbon hook link, which wasn't enough. There's some bigger carp in here. To be fair, they probably go up to about 20 pounds, so it wasn't the best move using such a light hook link to start with. So I've moved on to supple braid, and it's only about 6 inches, 6-7 inches or so. It's literally a knotless knot just to tie the hook on, and then that goes to a little loop down the other end, which means I can kind of loop it back on itself instead of having to actually tie it to the swivel. And that's it. I've got a size 12 hook, so it's a slightly bigger hook than I'd normally use for feeder fishing, but that's because of the carp in here, and obviously a size 12 carp hook is going to be a little bit stronger, so if I did pick up one of the bigger fish, there's less chance of the hook actually bending out. And then I'm literally just using maggot on the hook, and I'm seeing how it goes. If I get too many silvers, then I will change to maybe a little bit of corn or something like that. But I mean, these are used maggots, but I'm putting about 5 maggots on the hook, and then I'm making sure to leave the hook point exposed, so the maggots are only coming around to kind of the bottom corner of the hook, I'd say, and then you've still got a good proportion of that exposed. Even so, maggots are really soft anyway, so if you do get the tip bending around, you can really pull through them and it's still going to set the hook. And the 2 fish that I've landed so far, the hook has been well set in them, and yeah, there's no chance of that coming out as long as you keep that pressure on. So that's it. Like I say, really simple, and it's quite nice fishing in a simple way. So I'm going to get this back out there, and now the weather's cleared up a little bit, might be able to film a little bit more, but it is getting dark already. The weather's been terrible all day, so I haven't actually managed to get much filmed, but hopefully we'll have 1 or 2 more before the end of the video, end of the day. So just before I get this out there, I will just say about what bait I'm using, and like I said, I'm using predominantly maggots. So like I was talking about earlier with the maggots and still exposing the point of the hook, I've got about 5 maggots on there, a nice cluster, but you've still got quite a bit of the hook exposed, so that's how I'm doing that. Obviously filling up the maggot feeder right to the brim. When I was fishing in the left hand side of the swim, because it's a nice reachable distance, I actually made up a little bit of ground bait. So made some of that up, and I've got some tiny, I think they're 2mm pellet, yeah, 2mm pellets. So I've been baiting up with that, throwing in the odd handful of maggot over the top of the feeder as well, just to try and create that area. And unfortunately that didn't really work. It worked to start with, and then it's gone a little bit quiet, which is why I've now gone towards the island a little bit more. But I know that I've got that area with a little bit of bait in it that I can come back to if it then goes quiet against the island. But I'm just going to fill this up and get it back out there, because there's a good chance if I've had one from there, there's a good chance it could do a few more fish as well. Well, that one absolutely tore off. I'm hoping I got that bite on camera and that you can see that, because that rod proper ripped around. It's only a little one, probably the smallest one so far today, but that was a proper bite, that was. Just going to slip this one back from the net. It's only a little one, so I reckon I've got about half hour left, and even though I moved away from this left hand side probably a couple of hours ago to start fishing the island, I have kept it baited, so I've kept a bit of ground bait going in, kept a few maggots going in every so often, and some of the 2mm pellets. So I think for the last half hour I'm going to ping it back into that margin, just because I have obviously had a couple of fish off the island now, so it's going to be a little bit disturbed. So I'm going to move it back to there just for the last half hour. It'd be nice to get one last one, wouldn't it? Unfortunately I'm going to have to bring the rod in, and the half hour down my left hand margin didn't pay off. Thought he might have had a chance of a last bite, but rod's still out. I'll leave it out whilst I'm packing up the rest of my bits. But overall it's been a really good day's fishing, and it just shows, doesn't it, that even in the depths of winter, on a horrible, gloomy, wet, miserable day, there's still good fishing to be had. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please do subscribe to the channel so we can continue making more videos. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.